Okay, so you've just completed your second season in the Radical SR1 Cup, but let's go back to the Easter Bank holiday weekend at Oulton Park. You entered the season as the Rookie Cup champion, but also as a regular podium finisher. Tell me, what were your targets coming into this year?
I had targets set. When I finished my first season, third overall and the Rookie Cup winner, naturally my goal is always to do better. So when we arrived there, my ambition was to get second or higher, but naturally I didn't want to settle for seconds. When you're third, second just seems like the first of the losers. So naturally I wanted to go for a championship win if it was there. And we got news that a few of my main competitors weren't going to be racing this year. So it built my confidence going into that first race weekend. So we arrived on a really big high. And what we found was that during the off-season, a lot of the guys who were a bit behind us on pace in the first season had caught up immensely. So in my first season, the grid was very far stretched in terms of the times. But when we arrived at Oulton Park at the beginning of this season, everyone was within a second. So it meant that if I wanted to reach my target, we were going to have to work harder than we thought we were going to have to. And that put more pressure on me. I had to train harder. The team had to work hard to get the car 100%, which they always do. So yeah, I think going into that weekend we had high hopes, and very quickly we realised that we'd been expecting what the other guys were going to do. So once we'd changed our attitude, we got out there for qualifying, and yeah, just made sure that we kept our head down and just put some solid points on the board.
And how would you reflect on that season opener at Oulton Park?
It's a difficult one because you go into a weekend with such high expectations, carrying so much momentum from the previous season, but when you come across the line in 5th or 6th, you start to take a step back and realise perhaps you're expecting too much, which puts your mind in a strange place going to a next race, which for us was Cadwell Park.
And of course, Cadwell Park, very technical, demanding racetrack, but it seemed there that everything clicked into place. Would you regard that as a career best performance?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a circuit which I didn't really enjoy driving, but I drove quite well there, and that reflected in the pace that we had. It is a technical circuit and it's a driver's circuit, and I feel like the drivers who are more at one with their car would do better there. And naturally it's not an easy circuit to overtake at, so the most critical thing at Cadwell Park is to set a good time in qualifying, because the further up the grid you are, the less likely you are to have any issues. But yeah, again, it was a close grid, and we finished the first race in 4th, I believe, but that was being relentless on the back of 3rd place. And yeah, in the second race, we were gifted a little bit by the weather. We all went out on slick tyres, and it started raining. So naturally car control was going to be the key decider. And in front of me was Chris, who was my championship rival in the first season, and he only narrowly lost out to me in the Rookie Cup. So back at Oulton Park and going to Cadwell Park, I knew he was going to be really hungry to get back to me. So it was important that I made a statement at Cadwell Park. So we got a tough move done there, which gave me my second place, which up till now is my best result.